Hi everybody, this is Matt Brown and I'm back again with another lesson. This one, obviously the classic Stairway to Heaven. Now, I should say, before we get into teaching this, if you need any help, by all means, please email me for the transcriptions of these solos. And also, if you need some additional help, I teach private lessons, so you can contact me for that as well. But anyway, let's get into the solo. And like I usually do, I'm going to talk about the rhythm guitars a little bit first. So here we're playing in the key of A minor. And what we have is a chord progression that's got an A minor, G, and then down to F. That's basically the groove they're playing over. I didn't bother to take the time to figuring out the exact voicings, but anyways, so those are the chords. Alright, so we've got basically a progression that's diatonic to the natural minor tonality, A natural minor. So given that the natural minor scale, A natural minor, will work over this whole progression. And also the minor pentatonic scale, since it's a subset of that natural minor, will work as well. So those are the scales that Jimmy Page is working with, just those two here. Now, some interesting things to talk about with this solo are just the attention-getting ideas that he has in this one. How to keep things interesting over, it's not that long of a solo, but it's long enough for, I guess, a rock guitar solo, that, you know, you've got to do some things to keep it interesting over that period of time. So you kind of have to tell the story, in other words. The other thing that we should talk about is that this is probably the most popular and iconic guitar solo of all time to date, and it's relatively easy to play. So that, I think, is a lesson in and of itself. It's something else that doesn't have to be hard to play. It could be incredibly simple and still be the most effective thing for the song. Alright. So, let's talk about the licks. So, let's go over the attention getter first. It goes like this. So, it's a minor pentatonic thing. And then at the end, he's got this F note to highlight the change in the chord progression. Let's maybe talk about some technique with this. With the bend, what you want to do is bend it up to pitch first. So our E note here, and then give it some vibrato. It's kind of a common mistake to try to give it some vibrato and bend at the same time. We want to bend first, then give it some vibrato. Then we have this. Alright, let's move on. Now, the next lick is just some pentatonic stuff. But once again, we have one F note from our natural minor scale there. So that slow. No, I'll make a little mention about these bends here in this lick. They're whole step bends. And something to consider when doing a bend is, do you want to bend straight up to pitch? Or do you want to take a little time with it? So the first one in this lick, that one right there, it's the very first note you play, I bend straight up to it. It seems appropriate in this lick. Now the next one, I take a little time with it to make it a little bit more sad and emotional sounding. So that whole thing together. So it gives it a little bit you know, that little extra something that makes this a little bit more, I guess, vocal-like and more musical. Okay, let's look at the next lick. So just more pentatonic stuff. I'll try to do this real slow. So that, you know, not really a whole lot to talk about here, except for there's something cool. So it starts with the bend, and then it goes down the scale, and then it kind of just goes up a little higher in the scale, and then goes down again, and then comes up to resolve it. So that's kind of a melodic thing I like to do a lot. And it's kind of sort of similar to what we saw in the Enter Sandman solo, sort of. It's just kind of a good way to descend down the scale effectively, more or less, and come back up. So now let's look at the next lick. And you could argue that this one keeps going. So if you argue that it keeps going, it's this. So you could argue that it's just one really, really long phrase, which, you know, not a right or wrong here, but anyways, let's talk about this. So we've got some, again, minor pentatonic with some F notes thrown in here and there to add a little bit more color. So here's the lick at tempo. We'll just work with that much. Okay, now slow. So something that you might need to work on are playing these slurs that go, you know, over from one beat to the next. Rhythmically, that might be a little bit challenging if you're a beginner or intermediate, but if you need to feel exactly how that rhythm goes, just play the lick without the slurs to get the rhythm, and then add them back in. Alright, so let's move on now. Here's the next thing at tempo. So we've got an F arpeggio to start. Okay, now I'll do it slow. So, okay, at the beginning of the solo, we're mainly working out of this pentatonic position and maybe some of this up here. Maybe not unlike the Crossroads solo that we looked at. Now, to kick things into high gear, also like the Crossroads solo, he's taking everything up to this pentatonic position up here, where he has access to some higher notes, and higher notes will give us some drama. So that's what he's doing. He's amping up the drama to take this solo into kind of the second half of it. So definitely like telling a story. He's got a definite beginning, middle, and end to this solo. All right, so let's do this lick here again at tempo. And slow again. Now the next part is this repeating lick that he does basically, let's see, 10 times total. And it's a 1 beat long thing. And it just keeps repeating. So we've got C note, and then it bends up, releases, and pulls off. Then you come down to the root. So the first note is a little bit shorter. So it's kind of like the length of like 2 sextuplets. that thing. So if I do a tempo 1, 2, 3, 4. Is what we get. So then that last thing there is up to our tonic note there. Alright, so now let's go on to the next lick. Just some more cool pentatonic stuff. So we've got kind of this cool double stop. It's like a pedal steel almost type idea, where we're bending up the 15th fret and grabbing this note up high. So that's that. Now I'll do it real slow. Alright, now to kick up for the climax to kind of approach it, I would say. We're not to the climax yet, but we're getting there. So what we're going to see is more increased range of the notes, so higher notes. Okay, so that lick again. So in this pentatonic box up here, I like to use just my third and first fingers, and then the second and first fingers for the, I guess, the 19th and 17th fret notes. So maybe check out the fingering there. And I have pretty small hands, so even if you have, you know, small hands like me, this really helps. So slow. Alright, now the next lick, the cool thing about that one is we have a bend that's a step and a half wide. So that really is just like kind of a jarring thing. So let's look at that one. So whenever you do a bend that's more than a whole step, the ear is really used to hearing a whole step and half step. But when you throw in bends like a half or a step and a half or 2 whole steps, you're really drawing attention to yourself, since they're pretty rare in music. So be aware of that, and just be aware that it's really going to hang out there when you do a bend that big. Now, something else I should mention is the cool little background stuff that's going on between these phrases, and that is a really cool production thing that it just makes this really interesting. And I mean, the beginning of the solo is real busy, and so playing not very busy and giving these little phrases in between just adds another layer, and to me just kind of amps up the drama again. He could have decided to play even more busy towards the end of the solo, but I think he definitely went with the right choice here. Alright, so the final 2 licks. We're on the penultimate lick now. And this one's got the 2-step bend. So 2 full steps. F from A. I'll play it first. Okay, slow. It's pretty weak. I'll do that again slow. It's just minor pentatonic stuff. Now with this bend, if you're bending the 3rd string 2 steps, you're going to run out of room if you bend down towards the floor. So if you normally like to bend down, sorry. You're going to have to go up this time. And for me, I play 9s, and basically all I have to do to get this in tune is just basically bend as far as I can. And it's going to be in tune every time. And do that old trick of checking the fretted notes, see if you're in tune. So that's what it should sound like. And then we've got our big climax here, which is this. So not unlike this kind of lick in Enter Sandman we saw. So to give you some theory, this is just an A minor arpeggio. That's played in sextuplets. And then we've got this bend here at the end. So up to tempo again. Now the other thing that I'm going to mention about this solo, before we go through and play all of it again, is that the tempo of this song fluctuates quite a bit. So it starts off real slow, you know, maybe around like 70 BPMs. I didn't clock it out exactly, but by this point in the solo, the solo's probably maybe around 90 beats per minute. And they do steadily, it does speed up a little bit. Now this is pretty much with every Led Zeppelin recording, maybe like if you check out Dazed and Confused, for instance, the songs that they recorded without a click track, it's their natural tendency as a band to speed up. And it works for that song and this song. You know, the tempo does kind of, it musically feels like it needs to get faster and kind of come to a grand crescendo in terms of tempo. So be aware of that, what's going on with this solo. And if you just play this with a click track straight at 90 beats per minute all the way through it, it might feel a little just sterile and lame. So keep that in mind. So I'll play through the whole solo slow at about this tempo, which is maybe where the song starts. Ready, go. Alright, so let's go back to 30 channel and play the whole thing again with 30 tone.